Welcome to my allotment. Today I'm going to be showing you how I care for my courgettes, squashes and pumpkins. You know, how I feed them, you know whether when I water them, how I water them, whether I train them, all sorts of different questions that I'm seeing coming up a lot, and from my own mistakes I've learned how to do them and grow them really well. So if you've not already subscribed to my channel, if you could please do so, because you'll get lots of helpful hints and tips all throughout the year from my home garden, my allotment and also my home kitchen. Now, I've been growing courgettes, squashes and pumpkins for many years now, and I've made lots and lots of mistakes. So I'm doing this video so hopefully you don't. I see lots of people asking lots of different questions on what you feed them, do you trim them, do you do this, do you do that, and I just thought I'd show you what I do and what I don't do. So first of all, as you can see, I've planted all mine out with canes going down to them. Now the reason I put a cane in is because once they get really big, you can't see where they've gone into the ground, you know, where you need to water. So if you put the cane in now and obviously put a bottle on the top to protect yourself, you know when to water, when they all kind of become one, as it were. The other thing to do, and you can't do it perfectly, but as best you can, don't just water over the top of it, because that encourages disease, especially some of like the leaf moulds that you see. So as best you can, water down to where it goes into the ground, and exactly why I put a cane there, because you're less likely to get disease that way, and also you water the right part of the plant as well, because that's where it needs it. Now you will splash the leaves from time to time, so don't get het up about it, but just do the best you can to get it right where the stalk actually goes into the ground. Another thing, obviously you've got male and female flowers, and I hear a lot of people saying they're pollinating them themselves. Do they cut them off? Do they do this? Do they do that? Now I grow all mine outside, so as far as I'm concerned, nature takes care of that. I never interfere with any of the flowers, ever. I think that's the safest way. I don't care what's a male and a female flower, I just leave them be, and I would suggest you do the same. When it comes to obviously courgettes, you just let them get to the size that you want to pick them, and you just pick them, so you don't need to leave them in for any amount of time. They don't get ripe, they don't need to be a certain size or a certain colour. As long as they're a size so you can eat them, then that's when you pick them. If you let them get bigger, which you can do, that then does slow down production of more courgettes growing, so just bear that in mind. If you do let them get a little bit bigger, again you will get the odd one sneak up throughout the season. Suddenly one minute you'll look at it, one day it will be the size of your finger, and the next minute it will be absolutely gigantic. But you know, you take them off regularly. With squashes and pumpkins it's quite different. You leave them on the plant to mature. So I generally start picking mine around September, October time, so they stay on the plant for longer, because the skins need to cure so that they store better, and also they need to sweeten up as well. If you start picking them just as they're forming, then they're not as tasty. So the courgettes you pick when they're big enough to eat. The squashes and the pumpkins you leave to mature. I mean, I will do more videos so you can watch me and you can see what I'm doing. The other thing is some people are saying, do I only have so many pumpkins on a plant? Do I only have so many squashes on a plant? I just leave mine to do again what nature intended. Generally speaking, if I see one and it looks like it's shriveling up and it's dying, I would remove that. Same with the courgettes. If you see any damaged fruits, the chances are they've not been fertilized, and they've not been pollinated, so they're not gonna grow, or something else has damaged them. So I remove all damaged ones, but as a general rule of thumb, I just let them be. I'm not trying to grow show specimens, I'm just growing stuff for myself to eat, so I just let mine do what I don't cut off the stems. So if they start to trail, generally I'll just guide them in and around so they stay on the area. The only time I would trim them off is if they really started to encroach out into my allotment and they were becoming a problem. Or maybe towards the end of the season I want to discourage more fruits to produce. But right now, when we're wanting them to produce as many fruits as possible, I just leave them to do what they want to do. Also with regards feeding. I see lots of different ideas out there on how to feed them, and different ratios of this and different ratios of that. If you're a beginner, if I'm honest with you, and if you look on the RHS website, tomato feed, that's all you need. I do mix it up a little bit, but I've been gardening a little bit longer, but I only generally mix it up with my tomato feed and my comfrey. But obviously, if you want to experiment with different things, then go for it. But if you're a beginner and you've not had much success, you can't really go wrong with tomato feed. And how often do you water them? Now, there's a lot of argument about how often you water them. Now, my grandfather allotmented for many years, and he had 3 allotments many years ago, and he kind of said if you water things too often, you'll make a rod through your own back. I generally try and rely on nature to do as much watering as possible. Otherwise you could be up here every day or every other day. At most, I would water twice a week if it was really, really dry and I hadn't had any other watering. But I generally only water them if I think they need them. Like, we've watered it today and we know it's going to be incredibly dry for the next fair few days. It's not going to get any other water. If you start watering them too much, you'll only produce surface roots and they won't be going down into the ground. You know, there's water deep down into the ground, there's nutrients deep down into the ground, so you want to encourage a good root system on your courgettes, squashes and pumpkins. I'd love to know what you're growing. I've got a whole variety here of different courgettes, different squashes. I've got potato squashes, I've got spaghetti squashes, I've got dumpling, I've got good old-fashioned butternut, same with my courgettes. I've got the good traditional green one, I've got the little patty pan ones, I like little flying saucers, I've got round ones, I've got yellow ones. Half of the fun of having your own allotment is to have a mixture, and that's something I love. I've got sunshine as well, which is a lovely bright orange one, which almost mimics a pumpkin. It looks quite like one, but it isn't one. It's a type of squash, although pumpkins and squashes and courgettes are all part of the same family. So I do hope that has been useful. If you've got any top tips of things you do, or if you need any other advice or help, then please do, of course, put it in the comments.